Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, the new Extra Zero Festival is here. Yeah, pretty standard. I'm just gonna go over what to expect with this event. So yeah, that's basically it. Is this new? Time limit of a duel is 300 seconds. I don't know if that means that is all the time that you are getting for the entire duel, or like if that's just like I don't know. That's interesting that is highlighted. Interesting. It runs from the 18th to the 27th and goes all the way to the 29th for rewards. So it's about a week. It starts on the 18th, so in 4 days from when I'm recording this, 3 days from probably when you'll see this. Yeah, the event rewards, you get the title, as you always do, and then you get the Palladium Oracle Mahad art, which is pretty cool. Standard event details, other than that. The extra decks are not available. Pendulum monsters, however, can be used as normal, which means probably we're just going to be seeing a whole bunch of True Draco, Pendulum, and in all reality, Flunder just everywhere. Flunder, that's what we're expecting to see. Moving on, we have a new Forbidden and Limited list, which we're gonna be checking that out as well. We're gonna check it out real quick. I also have the, well, I'll show you the Forbidden stuff first. Alright, so on MasterDuelMeta.com, they have the full list, and it's right here. So, it's a lot of just like burn stuff. We have the burn Time Lord, we have Nurse Refecule, we have Inspector Border, because it's stall and boring. We have the Herald of Ultimateness and Perfection, as well as Amber Factor Pain. These are all just like floodgates, basically, with ritual monsters. Oddly enough, they also limited DD Dynamite. Don't know why, but okay. Just more like self-burn and the like, and Imperial Order. Notably, something that's not on here is the Vanity's Emptiness. Don't know why that's the case, but okay. Yeah, most of it is just like burn and self-burn related stuff. Yeah, both of those are related to that. We have a whole bunch of limited cards as well. Notable cards are the Megaliths, really powerful pendulums like the Servant of Endymion, and this guy, which if you have no cards in your extra deck is just like a free +1. We have Card of Demise, which should really be limited in general. I think this card is absolutely crazy. The fact that it's playable is insane. More burn-related stuff and stall-related stuff with the Ojamas. All of this other stuff, Necro Valley, Zombie World, Gravity Bind is on here for, actually, the reason for this one does make sense. This is basically just, like, infinite Threatening Roar against a lot of decks, so having it limited is very nice. And then lots of other floodgates, including, that's right, Monarchs Erupt, True Draco Apocalypse, and True King's Return. So, I know everyone is like, it's going to be the True Draco event. In all honesty, with all of the hits that True Draco has received due to this ban list, Skill Drain, Monarchs Erupt, True Draco Apocalypse, and Return, a lot of the other floodgates. I don't know if True Draco is going to be all that crazy. Megalith being hit is the biggest, dumbest thing I think I've seen. Megaliths probably wouldn't have been the best. Not even close. Or even, like, playable. This is one of those things where these two cards being hit just feels like Konami really doesn't want us to play the lower rarity stuff and wants us to invest into decks to actually play and, like, spend money on. Which, okay, sure. But just kind of odd. Yeah, that's all. Just, I really don't think Megalith would have been a problem, but understandable. They've been problems in the past, so it does make sense. And then there's one semi-limited card, which is this one. I don't know what Pandora's Jewelry Box is doing on here. I genuinely don't. I don't know what this does, but okay, it's there. Yeah, so in terms of a ban list, it's pretty nice. Now I'm going to go over the loner decks and what they do. Before we get on to the rest of the video, did you know that 70% of the people who watch my content aren't subscribed? If you end up liking the content, consider subscribing. You can always unsubscribe later if you end up not liking it. Anyway, let's get on to the rest of the video. Alright, so here we have the first loner deck with Adventure. If you don't know what Adventure is want to do, other than the actual Adventure engine that is splashed into everything, it basically just centers around the single token. Now, it also utilizes things like equip spells to gain powerful advantages. Well, I want to say powerful, but they're not really. This one gains 500 for each monster with a different name that mentions the adventure token. This one decreases the attack of your opponent's monsters by 500 for that same effect. We all know Draco back. Yeah, it does like equip spell stuff. If you don't know Magical Warrior, it's probably because it's bad, and that's why no one plays it. But if you have an adventure token, you can special summon this card from your hand, but it does require the adventure token to attack. That's basically it. And then at the end of the battle phase, if the adventure token battled, you can set a trap that mentions the adventure token from the deck. Cool. We all know the Fateful Adventure, the Wandering Griffin, the Water Enchantress, all of that fun stuff. However, they have 2 field spells. Yes, Adventure is actually an archetype with field spells. So, yeah, let's go over these. First, we have Dark Palace. While you control a monster equipped with the Noble Arms of Light, Dunnel? I don't know how to say it. This one, which increases the attack. Your opponent can activate cards or effects during the battle phase. And this does not require you to have the non-effect monster. As long as you have one of your monsters, you are able to just negate during the battle phase. And that's during the entire battle phase as well. Once per turn, when your adventure token destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. Again, this is kind of weird burn damage, but it does center around the adventure token. And then, once per turn during your main phase, if the previous effect was activated this turn, you can add a field spell from your deck to your hand. So you can just add the other one. Let's talk about the other one. Monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effect, as long as it is equipped with the Starlit Papillon. So this is basically the better of the two, because what you could do is with the Starlit, you can use that to equip it to the adventure token and then protect your adventure token from any activated effects, meaning as long as you have the adventure token, you're able to just like keep it on the field, and it makes it much more difficult to deal with as well, since it also decreases the attack and stuff like that. Yeah. And then when the adventure token destroys a monster by battle, you draw a card. Once per turn during the main phase, if the previous effect was activated, search out a field spell. Both of them have that effect. So, the adventure engine overall isn't the greatest, without, you know, as I should say, the adventure archetype isn't the greatest as a pure deck. The adventure engine is great. The adventure archetype is pretty mediocre. Let's talk about the traps. We have Thunder Discharge. If you control an adventure token, you can target a monster you control, equipped with an equip card that mentions the adventure token. Destroy as many monsters as possible your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to that monster. Then you can equip an equip spell that mentions the adventure token from hand or graveyard to a monster you control. So it is a kind of quick play Raigeki-esque effect. As long as you have a lot of attack, or your opponents have not very much. So as long as you have one of these two equipped, it shouldn't be, like, it's not bad. It's a little slow, because the main way you're getting it is either hard drawing it, which has a 1-of, not great, or off of this guy. And then we have a Birth of Resurrection. Special summon up to 2 monsters from your hand and or graveyard with different names, banish them when they leave the field. Then you could equip spell, yada yada. Pretty much the standard for the traps. But I do want to note a few things that all of the decks are getting, which is Raigeki, Harpies, Monster Reborn, Pot of Desires, Lightning Storm, Twin Twister, and Red Reboot. So, if your opponent is playing a whole bunch of back row, which the back row is heavily limited in this format already, you're going to have a lot of back row removal. Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, Twin Twister, Red Reboot, all great. So overall, I don't think this is actually the strongest of the decks that they give us, but it does have quite a few really good options with it to just kind of sack your opponent. Moving on, we have the Flunderies deck. We all know what Flunderies does at this point, I'm sure, and you're probably already sick of it, but this is a bit interesting because it is triple Robina, triple Eglin, triple Stry, triple Toucan, and triple Empen, and triple Snowl, which is not at all standard for the deck. Obviously, a whole bunch of the one-ofs, the 2 called by, the 2 imperm, as all of the decks also have as well. With 2 of the Magnificent Map, even though this is literally the best card in Flunderies, for some reason Konami said, no, give it to 2 instead of 3. But we are playing, well, they do have, I should say, the triple unexplored wins for some reason. Yeah, there's that. We also have slower Swallow, which if 2 or more monsters of the same level are on the field, you get a special summon this guy. It's the only special summon in the deck. I don't know why this is the case, but okay. You can only special summon it once. You contribute this card to draw 2 cards instead of 1 for your normal draw during your next draw phase. So this is really weird, but it does get another winged beast onto your side of the field for things like the Empen or the Snowl. Now, we all know what every card, well, we should know what they do, except for Snowl. All of these cards should be familiar. That's what I will say. While you control this tribute summoned card, you can conduct up to 3 normal summons or sets this turn, not just 1. Well, this tribute summoned card is in your monster zone. If your monster attacks a defensive position monster, inflict piercing battle damage once per turn. Once during your opponent's turn, you can banish a card from your hand. Change all special summon monsters your opponent controls to face down defense position. So, it's kind of disruption, very similar to how Empen is kind of disruption, but in all honesty, this card is pretty mediocre and not something that you are going to want to go for. However, getting that 3 normal summons is not bad. So, there's that. This deck is definitely missing, like, a punch, something to actually do other than just tribute over your opponent's cards. But yeah, it's a little lacking in terms of power, but it's still pretty good. We got 2 of the Dreaming Town and then 2 of the Scary Seas. It was pretty simple. Yeah, if your opponent would special summon a monster where you control a face-up tribute summon a monster, and no special summon to monsters, negate the summon, return the monster to the hand. Also, your opponent can't special summon, and you can get extra, you know, summon just 1. Yada yada. Really weird card, but yeah, it just negates a special summon. And because it says when, that means if they activate something like a spell or a monster effect to special summon out a monster, you're not going to be able to negate that. So there you go. Moving on to the last one, we have Machina Activation. So this deck is rather interesting. It focuses on rank 10 plays generally, but with this deck, since we are not using the extra deck, the main guy is Citadel, as well as Fortress, kind of. But Citadel is the big baddie for this deck. Basically, what you want to do is quick effect, target a machine monster you control, destroy that monster, and all monsters your opponent control with attack less than or equal to it. That's the big thing. However, how does this guy get summoned? Pretty simple. If a face-up Earth machine monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. So, you either tribute summon it, which is not actually as hard as you might think, or, more likely, what you will do is you will search it, add it to your hand, pitch it for one of the many discard activations that this deck requires, and then just special summon it from grave after a destruction effect. You could also pitch it off of a fortress to just special summon out the fortress, and then you have the Citadel to just constantly bring itself back. You can also special summon it off of the Machina Overdrive as well. Yeah, target a machine monster you control, special summon a Machina from hand or deck, destroy the targeted monster. Pretty simple there. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting deck. It revolves around just like using things like the gear frame, the redeployment, and the Machina Overdrive to get into Citadel. Once you get into Citadel, you just kind of bring it back over and over, and then just constantly destroy opponents' monsters, gaining advantage off of the cards being sent to the graveyard and just continually coming back. And yeah, that's basically it. You just big bungus kind of dude. You also play Machina Ruin Force. This card, I would say, is not the boss monster, but it's still very good. So you banish machine monsters from your graveyard whose total level equal 12 or more. So you just banish kind of like a chaos monster, like Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, or Chaos Creator or something like that. But instead, it's levels for machines. I don't know. This is a weird analogy. Anyway, when your opponent activates a card or effect during the battle phase, pay off your life points, negate the activation, have your opponent's life points. Rather weird effect. It only activates during battle phase, but since it's so big, it can also just like punch over things, and in a more simplified game with no extra deck, having even just any form of negation is pretty powerful. And then if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon up to 3 of your banished Machina monsters, whose total levels equal 12 or less. So basically what you want to do is count your stars so that you are banishing exactly 12, so that you can bring back with exactly, bring back exactly 12 stars worth, which normally requires you to have 3 level 4s, and as you can see, we're playing lots of level 4s. Most of them are level 4s, level 8s, and level 10s. Oddly enough, Fortress and Metal Cruncher are the only 2 that are odd numbers. Well, I guess, and this guy. But yeah, these 2 are very good as the level 9 and level 7. But yeah, most of them are good numbers for this. You could banish an 8 and a 4. You could banish a 3 4s. You could banish a 10 and a 4 if you wanted to. But it's harder to bring back those. So yeah, there you go. It's pretty simple. This deck is... I say it's simple. This deck is probably the most complicated, which is why I didn't really go over it too much. Yeah, this is one you just kind of have to play to figure out. But yeah, I will be doing a video as well as a stream where I go over all of these and play them for the event. So if you're looking into that, look out for that. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.